Hello everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the celebration beanie hat. Now this beanie hat works up super quick because we're using a bulky number 6 yarn, and we'll talk more about yarns in just a minute. Now the pattern fits about a 22 to 24 inch head, and there's a little bit of play there because this is a very stretchy beanie. It'll fit just about any youth or adult size head. It's a super fun hat to make, and it's perfect for whipping up a last minute gift as well. And by adding a special little button, it really perks up the pattern. You're really going to enjoy stitching up this beanie because it only takes less than an hour. That's right. It's a beautiful beanie. It stitches up quick, and the person you're going to give it to is going to love it, even if you keep it for yourself. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our celebration beanie, you're going to need 4 ounces of a bulky number 6 yarn. This hat is stitched using Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and the name of this color is called Celebration. I love this yarn because it has this beautiful sparkle, and it's white with that rainbow of metallic running through it. For today's demonstration, we're going to be using this one. This is also Lion brand. This is called Hometown USA, and the color of this is Anchorage Ice. And again, you only need 4 ounces of any bulky number 6 yarn to make this hat. You can even use some of your blanket yarns that you might have on hand. It just works up super fast, and the bulky yarn is beautiful on this pattern. And another reason it works up fast is we're using this great big hook. We're using an N that is a 10mm crochet hook. So we're using a bulky yarn and a big hook, so it whips up super fast. You can add a button, and I'm going to add this square button to this. I think it'd be really pretty against that sort of shiny gray yarn. And one thing to remember is you need to make sure that you have about a 10 or 12 inch piece of yarn. This is a medium weight number 4 that I'm going to use with a needle to sew my button on. And you need to make sure you can get that needle through those button holes. All right? If you use a great big needle like you would use to weave this in, that's not going to fit through your buttonhole. All right, so keep that in mind, that you're going to need a thick one with a big eye to weave your ends in, and a smaller needle with a matching yarn or thread to sew your button on. You can match your yarn to the button or to the yarn you're using. This one here, I just went ahead and used the white since it was just a round crystal button. And these are about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. It's up to you how big you want that button to be, because it is just a decorative button. And of course, the last thing we need is a pair of scissors. We are starting at the top of the hat and working our way down. We're going to begin with a slip knot. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. So we'll take the tail of yarn and put it over our hook and pull that through. Then we'll just snug that down and tie that little stay knot. That stay knot's going to keep our chain 5 loop from coming undone. And we're also going to be stitching over that tail of yarn. We're going to put our hook in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet, and we need to stitch 9 more, so we have a total of 10. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. So there's 1 and 2. Our chain 3 counted as our first, and we're going to stitch 9 more, so we have a total of 10 double crochets for row 1. Now, if you haven't worked with a big hook and thick yarn before, it can be a little bit clumsy. So just take your time and enjoy it. I love working with a big, thick hook and yarn every now and then, and I love the thought of being able to make something in a short amount of time. All right, let's see how many double crochets I have. Here's my chain 3 that counts as my first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for row 1, I have 10 double crochets. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now, before we go any farther, we can turn this over. We can gently pull on that yarn and go ahead and grab that needle with the great big eye. There we go. And we'll go ahead and weave this in. And we can do this now, and it keeps us from having to do it later. Now, if you don't want to do it right now, you don't have to. It's just totally up to you. And now for row 1, we have 10 double crochets. We join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chained 3. For row 2, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of those 10. Our chain 3 counts as 1, so we're going to stitch 1 double crochet right in that same stitch as our chain 3. Then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of those remaining 9 going around the top of our hat. And you can already see, using this big thick yarn and crochet hook, how quickly our hat is going to stitch up. So 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets around, working all the way around, and then we'll join back to that chain 3. I stitched 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around, so I have 20 double crochets. We're going to join to the top of that chain 3 and chain 3. Now for row 3, we're going to begin those granny style stitches. So we're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next stitch and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. Chain 2. Skip this next stitch and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. And chain 2, and we'll repeat this around. 2 double crochets in the next, chain 2, skip the next double crochet, and repeat. And we'll continue this all the way around, and again join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 3, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, chain 2, skip 1, and repeat. And you're going to have 10 sets or clusters of 2 double crochet, chain 2. Here's my last chain 2. We're going to join to our chain 3. we're going to slip stitch in that next double crochet, then slip stitch in the chain 2 space and chain 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet in that chain 2 space, because our chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and this will give us 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to go to our next chain 2 space and stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And chain 2. Then we'll go to our next chain 2 space and stitch 2 double crochets. And again, chain 2. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around this row. 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space and chain 2, and repeat all the way around till we get back to our chain 3. And you'll notice that your hat is going to start to curl down and form the shape of our hat. I have completed row 4, 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and repeat all the way around. And again, you're going to have 10 clusters of 2 double crochets, chain 2. Here's my last chain 2. I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in the next double crochet, and then slip stitch in the chain 2 space and chain 3. And now what we're going to do for the next 3 rows is we're going to repeat row 4. 2 double crochets in each of the chain 2 spaces, chain 2, join to the chain 3, slip stitch to the next chain 2 space, and chain 3. And so we're repeating row 4 for 3 more rows. I've completed those 3 additional rows. This brings us to row 7. Now we're going to add the single crochet rows for the trim. If you feel like this beanie is not long enough and you need it a little bit deeper, you can always add another row or 2 to this portion of the hat. After we've completed row 7, we joined to our chain 3, and we're just going to chain 1. Now we're going to do our rows of single crochet for the trim. So we'll just start in that first stitch and stitch a single crochet, and we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each double crochet and 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. 1 single crochet in the 2 double crochets and 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. And we'll repeat this all the way around our hat and join back to our first single crochet. I've completed that first row of single crochets, stitching 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets and then 2 single crochets in each of the chain 2 spaces around. Here's my last single crochet. We're going to join to the first single crochet, not the chain 1, or you'll end up with 1 extra stitch. All right, so we're going to join with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now for this next row, we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets, working all the way around the hat. One single crochet in each single crochet around. I have stitched one single crochet in each of those single crochets all the way around. I joined to my first single crochet and chain one, and all we're going to do on this last row is just repeat what we just did and stitch one single crochet in each of the single crochets around. And these 3 rows of single crochet is going to give us a nice stretchy band, but also a nice firm band that's going to keep our hat in the shape we want it to be. So, one single crochet in each of the single crochets, working all the way around our hat. We'll join and tie off, and then we'll be finished with our hat, and we can add our button. I finished that last row of single crochet. I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, cut my yarn. We're going to go behind that next stitch and pull that loop to the back and tie off on the inside of our hat. And that's just going to give it a nice smooth appearance for our hat. All right, so we need to grab that big needle. There we go. And we'll just weave this in. It can be a little bit more difficult to weave in when you have these big thick yarns. Just do your best to get in between the stitches and not go in the holes, and also try to go back and forth through some of those fibers. And the other thing that makes it a little more difficult is when you get to a bigger needle with a bigger eye, it becomes a little more blunt, so we don't have that point to poke in as well. Just do the best you can. Just make sure you go back and forth until you're comfortable that that is going to stay put and not come undone. So my hat is all weaved in and tidied up, and I just really love the way this hat looks. But I want to add a button. You don't have to add a button. I just like it because it adds just a little bit extra of a pop. And I found this silver square button, and it's just a 2-hole button. And I have some matching yarn here that's just gray, and I've threaded it on a needle that I know is going to get through the holes of my button. All right, now I'm going to put the button so that it's sort of sticking sideways up into this set of clusters. All right, so I want it to stitch this way. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through some of those fibers of the hat. I'm going to leave this string and form a loop. And I do this because I think it helps the button stay put, and it also helps me know where I'm going to put that button. All right, so we're going to go up and in. We'll go all the way through to the back of the hat. Then we'll come back up, and we'll do this a couple of times until we're comfortable that that is going to stay in. And I do recommend, or I should say stay on. I do recommend that you make sure that you go through some stitches and not holes so that your button doesn't slip through a hole. All right, so I've done 3. I think that's good because it is just a button for decoration. And I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to pull that string to the back of my hat. All right, so that's where I have those 2 strings, and I'm going to tie those knots. I'm going to tie 1, 2, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that so I can tie that other knot that I like to do, where I just spin it around and pull it through. I just think it helps it hold better. Get that as close as I can to the hat. I might push it with my scissors a little, and clip. So now my hat has a little fun button on it. Here are both our celebration beanies. This one, Hometown USA, Anchorage Ice by Lion Brand. This one, Wool Ease, Lion Brand again, Bulky number 6, the color is called Celebration. It's that white with those rainbow metallic thread running through it. This is a great pattern if you've got some bulky number 6 yarns just laying around and you don't know what to make with them. They work up quick and they make great last minute gifts.